In 2023, India stole the spotlight by taking over the presidency of the prestigious G20, flaunting its economic and diplomatic skills on the world stage. Experts predict that India is on track to outshine both Japan and Germany, becoming the third largest economy by 2027, according to analysts at Jefferies. Just 10 years ago, India was number 9 in the global economy rankings, but now it's climbed to 5th place with a whopping $3.4 trillion GDP. So what's the secret behind India's incredible economic growth? Let's delve into 4 key factors here. Factor number 1, strategic location. One of the very first factors to consider when talking about the super stunning growth of India is its strategic location. India is basically the cool kid on the block when it comes to trade and socio-cultural exchanges. Situated right in the middle of the Eastern Hemisphere, at the top of the Indian Ocean, it pretty much rules over trade routes going in all directions. With natural harbors on both coasts, India's been killing it in maritime trade throughout its history. Plus, let's not forget that the Indian Ocean is the only ocean named after a country. Talk about a power move. It's like the ultimate mediator between the East and West, bringing countries together like a boss. These geographical features are very favorable to India in terms of international trade. Its location, which also contributes to the maintenance of trade and commerce, gives it great strategic value. It makes communication easier between Eastern Asia and the western coasts of Asia, Africa, and Europe, as well as between Southeast and East Asia. It also acts as a significant transit point for shipping lanes between Europe and East Asia. Factor number 2, great consumer market in India. India's incredible economic boom has placed it into the global spotlight. Over the past 2 decades, it's enhanced its outdated infrastructure and leveraged its booming population to give its economy a major makeover. With a whopping 1.5 billion potential customers, as estimated by the UN, India is basically the ultimate shopping destination. It's like Indians are driving a Ferrari in the fast lane of the world economy. With this, for the first time since the Data series start in 1950, it's beaten China to take the top spot in terms of population worldwide. Actually, India's population surpassed China in 2023, and this trend is predicted to persist. When it comes to India, it's worth mentioning that their working population's age and growth rate really stand out when compared to China. In the past 20 years, India's population has surged by 36%, leaving China's mere 8% growth in the dust. What's even more interesting is that the UN reports over 40% of India's population is under 25, with a median age of 28, almost a decade younger than China. And get this, only 7% of Indians are 65 or older, while China is 14%. Looks like India is the land of the young and restless. Meanwhile, China is gearing up for their working age population to hit its peak soon. Its substantial young and stable working age population is capable of supporting further economic growth. Real salaries are also rising at a rapid pace. According to ECA International's annual compensation trends report, India is likely to have the highest compensation growth rate in the Asia-Pacific region this year, with real earnings projected to go up by 4.6%. Factor number 3, attractiveness of foreign direct investments. India is like a magnet for investors, playing a key role in their success stories. With its strong profitability, impressive GDP growth, and resilient recovery from the pandemic, Indian equities have been a popular choice for consistent inflows. By March 2023, India has even outshined China in terms of net foreign investments. Looks like India is always the winner in the end. The fact that India has performed better than China is partly attributable to foreign inflows. It's recently seen net inflows of $18.9 billion from foreign equity funds during the preceding year. The rate of inflows from foreign equity investments has also been steadily rising from March 2022. On top of that, India's success can be credited to its rising popularity as an alternative to China for sourcing supplies, transforming it into a more export-focused country with less reliance on domestic consumption. Thanks to the trend of nearshoring caused by the shift towards deglobalization post-pandemic and escalating trade tensions between the US and China, India has seen a boost in its exports, now accounting for 22.4% of its GDP compared to China's 20.7%. It seems like economic growth for India is as effortless as stealing candy from a baby. Factor 4, infrastructure investments and digital economy. The country's generous banks set aside a whopping $120 billion for improving roads and railroads, a 37% jump from previously, and more than double the cash poured in 2019. The government has basically been playing Monopoly with close to $2 trillion on infrastructure between 2019 and 2025. It's like they've been in a committed relationship with infrastructure investments, never letting it drop below 4% of the GDP since 2008. It's undergone infrastructure upgrades as well as a digital revolution in the last several years. The development of its Digital Public Infrastructure Initiative, which provides an identity and payment interface, has significantly improved its digital economy. On top of that, digital advertising is growing rapidly in India as businesses anticipate that video streaming, influencer marketing, and online buying will draw more tourists to the world's most populous nation. Online advertising is expected to be among the fastest-growing segments of India's rapidly expanding digital economy. According to predictions, India is set to have the fastest-growing digital economy in the world by 2027, with a compound annual growth rate of 9.6%. And not only that, but the nation's also expected to see the biggest increase in internet advertising income globally, with a compound annual growth rate of 12.7%. The speedy adoption of digital media is giving a boost to U.S. tech giants like Meta and YouTube. By 2025, they can look forward to seeing their video advertising revenues in India grow by a pretty decent amount, somewhere in the mid to high teen percentage range. YouTube, the giant in the industry, raked in about $690 million from video advertising in India last year, marking a 20% uptick from the year before. Surprisingly, this was actually the slowest growth YouTube's seen in a while. Why is it crucial for India, you ask? Well, with over 60% of the population living in rural areas, digitization is the name of the game. By connecting the country through technology like AI, machine learning, blockchain, and cloud computing, we can bridge the economic gap and give everyone a shot at success. Otherwise, it's like showing up to a digital showdown with a butter knife. Several factors, such as more people getting internet access, new tech advancements, affordable data plans, and government efforts to improve digital infrastructure have all played a role in the speedy shift towards digitalization. This has led to a budding startup culture and a wave of entrepreneurship among the younger generation, who've eagerly jumped on the tech bandwagon. Now that you've uncovered the secret recipe behind India's amazing growth, brace yourself for a few hurdles along the way. Challenges to the Indian economy. So, as we previously mentioned, India has recently become the most populous country in the world, with a whopping 68% of its people falling into the working age bracket of 15 to 64 years old. This kind of demographic setup, also known as a demographic dividend, has the potential to really boost India's economy super quickly, but only if the country can actually provide decent job opportunities for its large working age population. It's like a double-edged sword for India. But according to data from labor force surveys, it seems like there's a bit of a hiccup in the plan. A big chunk, 74% of workers in the non-agricultural sector, are stuck in low-paying informal jobs in small businesses, while about 45% are still toiling away in the agricultural sector. And get this, over a quarter of young folks aged 15 to 29 are basically working for free in family businesses. On top of that, agriculture is still the main source of employment, with 36% of young people working in that sector. It will need to completely rethink its growth plan to render its expansion more employment-intensive if it hopes to address the issue of producing productive jobs and benefit from the demographic dividend. Its experience shows that growth by itself is not sufficient to create jobs because the kind of growth and quantity of jobs that are created are dependent on the sectoral composition of growth. India's unusual structural shift from agriculture to services has left few opportunities for well-paying jobs for those at the bottom of the educational and skill ladder. The world is currently watching as India struts onto the global stage with a flourishing economy and a dedication to being inclusive, sustainable, and working with others internationally. In the midst of a tough global situation, India is stepping up as a major player in the economic and geopolitical arena. With some smart moves in the next few years, they could be well on their way to becoming the world's third biggest economy in 5 years and a fully developed nation by 24/7. Talk about setting the bar high for inclusive growth and digital progress. So get ready for India to take center stage in shaping the future of the global economy. If you enjoyed this video, share with us your thoughts in the comments section and make sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons to receive more content. See you in the next video.